People talk about Australia, they love to highlight the beaches, the accents, the kangaroos. But you rarely hear them talk about the blood beneath the soil. Because Australia is just like the US. It wasn't discovered. It was invaded. And the first thing they tried to do was wipe the oldest living culture off the face of the earth. So let's back up for a second. The Aboriginal people of Australia have been on that continent for 65,000 years. Let that sit. They are the oldest continuous culture on Earth. Not only did they live in harmony with the land, they had complex languages, spiritual systems, astronomy, trade, and none of it was savage or primitive. But when the British showed up in 1788, they saw none of that. They saw a land they wanted and people they thought didn't count. So they claimed the land as nobody's land, like people weren't already living there. And what followed was centuries of massacre, displacement, slavery, and dehumanization. Aboriginal people were hunted like animals. Entire tribes were wiped out. Their water sources were poisoned. Children were taken. Women were assaulted. Men were imprisoned. Sometimes for just being Aboriginal. Their language banned. Their cultural practices outlawed. Their sacred land stolen. They weren't even considered full citizens on their land until 1967. Let me repeat that. The original custodians of that land weren't counted as people until less than 60 years ago. And from the late 1800s to the 1970s, the government had a plan to breed out the Black. That's not an exaggeration. That's what they actually called it. They took thousands of Aboriginal children from their families, the stolen generation, and placed them in white homes or church institutions. Sound familiar? They erased their names, told them their families didn't want them. And when those children cried for their mothers, nobody came. Because colonialism isn't just about land. It's about memory. And they were trying to erase it all. So when you hear people talk about Australia like it's just another Western paradise, know this. There's blood in the soil and trauma in the air. And the world is still catching up to the truth. Because Aboriginal people didn't just survive genocide. They preserved the oldest culture on the planet through it. And that's resistance. That's legacy. That's a miracle that colonizers couldn't kill, no matter how hard they tried.